that it's on, and then once we confirm that it's on, I'll.
All right, welcome to Nothing But Anarchy. I'm Chad Sanders. We are starting a little later today for the live audience due to some technical difficulties on our side. But nonetheless, here we go. Let's jump into it. So today I'm gonna give you all really quickly just like a little what is this called? Like a temperature check, okay? To just say where we're at, what's going on with me specifically. So there is so much in motion right now, which is sometimes confusing to me because I swear from like most weekday nights between the hours of like 5 o'clock until I go to sleep at night, I'm like laying around, hanging out with Penny, watching TV, watching sports. I'm rewatching Boardwalk Empire right now. And usually on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes Thursday nights, I'm just like laying around like, is anything even happening? Is anything actually going on in my life? Am I doing anything? Am I busy? Like, am I doing enough? There's a stillness that I feel sometimes that frankly, I have not totally learned how to be comfortable with. And I think living in New York for 13 years probably has contributed to that feeling where I'm like, if I'm not doing 100 things at once, if I'm quote unquote doing nothing, then I feel unsettled. I feel like I need to move. I need to do something. I need to watch this thing that informs me. I need to text this person about this project. Sometimes I start creating work for myself. Sometimes I start creating work for other people because I'm just like, I just need something to be happening. What's happening? Is anything happening? So that's one thing contrasted against what's actually happening. What's actually happening is that in a process that will take me some amount of months, I am moving from New York to DC. At this point, that's what I believe to be so. I am building a team. I am building a show. I am publishing a book. I am trying to finish a deal with a major studio to write a TV series. I am 35 years old, trying to like redesign my life, basically. Um, We're planning a live show, which I'm about to get into. I'm like, everything is in transition right now. My parents are also coming to town tomorrow, and so like, how do you guys feel when nobody can actually answer me, but like when my parents visit or when I'm going to visit my parents, I see myself through their eyes on the days leading up, which is to say, as my parents are coming, they're coming up tomorrow to visit. They're just going to come up for a night from Maryland. I clean my place. I look around at my place and think, what does this place say about me? Like, what do the things in this place say about me? What in this house do I need to hide or throw away? Do I have enough plants? Are my plants in good shape? Is my kitchen clean? Do like I have to like try to smell everything through someone else's nostrils? Like, does it smell like Penny in here? Does it smell like a dude who's been laying around on the couch in here? Does the bathroom like smell like mildew from, not getting enough air or whatever? Like, I'm just like looking at my house through someone else's eyes. I'm going to cut the grass today, even though like there's no grass. It's wintertime. Like the grass is dead. Like the leaves are on the ground. Like, but I see myself through someone's eyes, and then it gets wider and wider and wider from there. For someone who has known me since I was a baby, which is both of these people, they've known me literally since the second that I breathed oxygen. What does this place that I'm at right now, 35 years into the journey, what does it say about what part of the story am I on? As for someone who's watching it, who's been observing it and participating it and cultivating it and trying to guide it, and you know, some people who have been in different moments at odds with the direction that it's going. You know, my parents, I didn't even mean to get into this, but this is good subject matter. My parents, so my mom especially, was afraid for this as a career path for me. And by this, I just mean like this, you know, basically Chad doing what he wants to do. Let's call that the career. At first, I tried to couch it as like, oh, I'm leaving Google to go work at a tech startup. But I knew that really wasn't like the whole thing. Then when I was leaving the tech startup, it was like, you know, oh, I'm going to be a consultant. But what I was really trying to do was like make a little bit of money to keep me afloat while I tried to have a creative career. And then it was like, now I'm trying to be a screenwriter. And then, you know, that looked very scary to my mom until Spike Lee came in. And then Spike Lee could offer me, you know, Spike Lee talked to my mom on the phone while we were sitting in the lobby at Netflix because I told him she was worried. And he takes my phone and he tells my mom. My mom went to Spelman. My mom and Spike Lee overlapped it. While he was at Morehouse and she was at Spelman, I think by a year. But they didn't know each other. She didn't know him. But like in my corner of society, like Spike Lee he's a big deal to everybody, but like to a 60-something-year-old woman who went to Spelman in the 70s, that's a pretty big voucher. That's a pretty big stamp for that guy to jump on the phone and say, your son's a genius. He's doing the right thing. He's going to be okay. And that gave me like a little bit of breathing room to be like, you know what? To hear him say that and to hear him say that to my mom, to be like, maybe I am going to be okay. Because at most stops in my life, I haven't actually totally felt or known that I was going to be okay. I kind of have learned to be okay with not knowing if I'm going to be okay as a part of this whole thing. That's how this thing is built. Like you never get your feet totally like settled under you. And so now I'm like 7 or 8 years. It's been, that phone call between Spike Lee and my mom was probably in 2017 or 18. It's 2024. So that was 6 or 7 years ago. And since then, my parents, my mom, I'm going to be specific to say, has seen me kind of blow up, you know? I'll own that for a second. And that, I believe, was always something that was scary to her. Was the idea that I would blow up. The idea that like, I think it was scary to her that maybe this whole path wouldn't work out for me. But I think what might have been even scarier for her in some ways is that it would. And this would become my life. Like this feeling, like this being on the run, you know what I mean? This like, moving all the time. And I remember one time I would move apartments every single year because I've had to evolve and take shape of whatever shape I need to be in for this journey. And once it was probably my 7th or 8th move in New York. I started in Soho when I came here. Then I was in the West Village, then another apartment in the West Village. Then I went up to Harlem. Then I went to Crown Heights, Park Slope, Bed-Stuy, and now I'm in Queens. I've been in 2 places in Queens. One of those stops over 13 years, probably at the 6th or 7th apartment. My mom, at one point, my friends were just like, one of my boys, he was like, I'm not going to any more housewarmings for Chad. He's like, this nigga moves every year. I'm not going to any more housewarmings. But my mom said to me, and you know, when your mom says something to you, it comes with like the ferocity of 1,000 suns in your mind. Like she might have thought it was a throwaway statement, but it meant so much to me. She was like, she was like, what are you running from? And I was like, oof, that one really stuck to me, because maybe I was running from something. Like, maybe I was running from a life that was mundane. Like, I had a very stable suburban upbringing as a kid. You know what I mean? I had stability. I had the house with the 2-car garage and the big yard and Cub Scouts and church and piano lessons and basketball practice and all these friends, and I had community, and I had such stability that I think what a lot of people are chasing through their life is a feeling of stability, and I was born into that. So I think what I was chasing, or perhaps running away from, was a feeling of stability. Now that that running that way, something else is more important than that right now, which is building this thing. Like, when I say this thing, I don't know if you guys can see what I can see of it, but it's like, this show is like one leg of a whole environment of creative entities that have imagine 100 baby Morgans, all trying to be as good as Morgan at building whatever is their thing within the thing. And people come through here and they bring their special sauce, and they tried it, and they learn, and they experiment, and we put stuff out, and we see what happens, and we get smacked around a little bit by the consumer and by the industry, and we just keep growing, and we take care of it, and we take care of each other, and it keeps going, and it's going, and it's going. And I want to build that thing. I can't do that if I'm chasing all the time. That's why I'm like, this is a difficult, I don't know how difficult it is, but I'm just going to be real. I'm having to accept something, which is I have to take a step away from the chase that is Hollywood to come over here and actually build some leverage. I have to do that again. I did it in a small way before. If you chase, you're never going to write your fucking screenplay. You're never going to write your book if you're chasing all the time. You're never going to write that op-ed. You're never going to get that idea off. You're never going to make something, telling you, but I'm telling myself, you never are going to make the thing that's actually going to get you where you want to go if you're chasing all the time. And that's if you're running all the time, that's who I have been here for 13 years until maybe literally until this year, with a few exceptions. But I'm saying all that to say that this is a life in transition. This is I don't know where the stop point is, where it's going to look as sexy and glamorous in real life as it probably does in some ways on the internet. And so my parents are going to come and see what my real life, some people think literally very recently, people in my life have said to me, they think I'm out every night, on a dating carousel. I got this poppin' social life, and I'm just living the dream, and I'm certainly not living that dream. I was listening to a podcast I'm having to take a break from podcasts because I'm this is too much. I have internet brain right now. But I was listening to something, and they were talking about the dark tunnel that is building. It was Gary Vee, actually. He was talking about the 5 years you got to spend locked in on your idea before you're going to hit that big clip. He kept saying, you're going to have to spend 5 years eating shit, as he put it, before. And I was hearing him say that, and I was like, this is where, okay, there's this dichotomy, there's this impasse between my life, there's this annoying thing that pokes its head in as insecurity all the time, where I look at my life and I look at my friends' lives and I'm like, God dang, they're married, they got kids, they got houses, you know, they fucking take vacations, it's like, and I know, like, if I put my foot in the water of what they have, like, it always burns me and I'm like, fuck, I don't want this. But still, it's there, and it's the grass is always greener thing, and I'm like, there's this head bumping where I'm always looking at that and I'm like, damn, that must be so nice. It must feel so comfortable to have all those things. And I talk to these people on the phone and they're like, my life is in distress is what they tell me. But I can't hear that. I hear it, but I don't soak it in. I go back into my life, which is, as Gary Vee put it, I'm in year one of the shit eat, as he put it. I'm in year one of, like, this is a new thing. This is not, look, I'm telling the story as though it is the story of this long arc journey. And maybe it is in some ways, but like, this is year one of moving money around to keep this thing alive and afloat, and of turning down guaranteed money so I can stay focused here. This is year one. But when I hear him say there's 5 years of eating shit like this, I'm like, I could do 5 years. Like, it's fun. But that's the type of dream that I'm living, not the type of dream that y'all think where I'm in Soho clinking glasses every night. Like, I don't have that life at all. And I don't know if I'm ever going to have that life. I don't know if that life will ever fit me, because when I used to go to Dumbo House, when I used to go to Soho House, when I used to go schmuck around with the socialites who were parading as creatives, like, now that I look back on it, now when I look at those people who I was sitting beside in those rooms, they're all in those same exact rooms, and none of their shit is popping off because they haven't taken the step away. So I don't know how I got here from talking about my parents, but my parents are coming tomorrow, so that's it. I'm just going to move on to the next segment because you guys waited a long time here. All right, so this is congruent to what I just said. We're doing a live show. We are doing a live show. I'm going to look in the camera a little more while I do this, just in case it cuts well as a reel. If we don't get a reel out of this one, maybe we'll use Draymond Green, but I think we'll get a reel out of this one. So we're doing a live show in Washington, D.C. at Shanklin Hall, February 8th, 7 o'clock p.m. is when doors open. I will go on probably at 7:30, but I think you guys will be more on time than a New York audience. But, like, please try to be on time, because it's going to be a room. You're going to get the show, of course, and we just spent some time talking about the lineup and how we want to, like, sequence the show and what we want you all to learn and feel and experience, and just, like, what we want people to get out of the show. But I will say this as the starting point on it, which is, it is going to be a room full of people who, I can see the room, who want good for themselves and each other, who want good for me, and who are comfortable with having conversations that we are not allowed to talk about outside, so that we can, like, make that good happen for ourselves. I guess a different way of putting that is, like, it's going to be a room full of people who are comfortable stretching their brains, who are comfortable, like, looking at each other and at themselves with an empathetic and critical lens. Like, that's what the room is going to be. And I'm excited about it because, like I said, I'm moving to this place. I want to go look in the face of the people who I hope, as I continue to build out this community, like, the people who I hope and pray and think will be around for that, who will be, like, who will be, like, there, you know what I'm saying? Like, who will just be, like, there, you know, when we have the studio open for people to come through and check it out. Those are the people that are going to be there. I'm looking for DC creatives to help with all of this, producers, writers, editors, engineers, people who have podcasters, people who, like, I'm looking for people who are going to be a part of this thing, this environment that we are building. So some of those are going to be people in the room. And then some of the people in the room are just going to be people who I've known forever. People whose voices you heard on Yearbook, family, friends, people I went to college with, people I went to high school with. I went to college with like 11 dudes from my high school. So those people. What should I say here? Tickets are available. You can find them at the link in my bio. Yes. They're the top link in my link tree. And you could also find them on, can you find them on Shanklin Hall's website?
Shanklin Hall website, events page.
You can find them on the Shanklin Hall website, events page. And this is such a family affair that Shanklin Hall, one of the partners at Shanklin Hall, actually two of them I went to high school with, and one of them I went to high school and college with. This is a home game. So if y'all want to come to a home game, this is our we did a launch party in New York, but I'm calling this this is stop number one, tour date number one for Nothing But Anarchy. This is the very first time we're going to do a actual live show with segments, I think with guests, with topical matter, all that kind of thing. And then I've said this to, many people over the last year, the dream is to eventually be taking this thing all over the country. That's really what I want to be doing. So stay with us. All right. We'll play some music and then we're going to come back and I'm going to talk about Stephen A. Smith and Jason Whitlock. All right. Morgan, how's my hair? Can you give me a hair check? It's okay.
You can see yourself on the side.
But I can't.
Oh. It's fine.
No, you're good.
It's kind of cut off at the top, but I think it works.
All right. Thank you, Morgan. The hardest parts of producing. Okay. All right. This is so gross. So okay. There's this idiom or this saying in technology, in the tech businesses, about disruption. Please, Morgan, roll your eyes if you've already heard this, if I'm Chad explaining it. But basically, I'm not even talking to Morgan. I'm talking to everybody. But Morgan's are the only eyes I can see. So there's this saying that disruption should come from within your company. Disruption should come from within. Apple and Google and Amazon get to stay at the top as long as they continue to innovate within their businesses, such that when the next TikTok or Vine or the next thing that could potentially disrupt their business blows up, that it will happen in-house. That's what they want to happen, because Google's business, bread and butter business for as long as they've been alive has been search. Eventually something will come about that is more valuable than search, and they want to be the ones who invent it so that they don't go extinct in that thing's shadow. The ways that you can do that, among, I guess there's many subheadings to these two ways, but like, you can invent it in-house or you can acquire it. You can make it yourself or you can buy it. I gotta put the headphones back on. I don't get it, but I'm gonna do it. You know what it is? It's like, so my voice isn't echoing back into my ears from the room. Anyway, so I used to, at a tech startup, I used to be the head of new products, okay? And the conflict that I was always in, my job was to make sure that our bread and butter business was a 19-week coding. This might actually cut really well as a reel, starting from what I just said about companies, because this is going to go all the way to Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
Now, my job was to innovate with a small budget such that some product or some service that I came up with or my team came up with and invented with very, very limited resources within this company, like let's say 1% of the company's overall P&L, would grow to be bigger than the marquee product, which was a 19-week coding boot camp. So again, my job was to make sure that, like, if something was going to knock our business over, it was going to be something that we invented so that we were not always at risk of someone outside of our business taking over our market share. And eventually the coding bootcamp bubble burst, Kaplan bought our company, and like the company got crushed within years. It got destroyed. It just was dismantled, but I was already gone. I quit. The conflict I was always in at this tech startup was that it takes so much in resources, bandwidth, people, money, energy, thought, time, attention. Once you have an established product, it takes so much to keep that product rolling along the path, right? It takes so much in resources to keep that thing fed so it can grow into the behemoth that it needs to be and continue to like knock over other things in its way, that you don't have, many companies don't have much left to offer to the little innovations that are happening in-house. When I worked at Google, there was something called 20% time, where you were supposed to be allocated 20% of your time as an employee to work on whatever the hell you wanted to work on, basically. And that was their way of making sure that if Chad had some, inventive or creative capacity to make something else cool happen or something else dope happen, that he was going to do it at work and not at home, so that it would belong to Google. Okay, that's what 20% time was for. I don't think that exists anymore. Where am I going with this? Let's say that the headline on this will cut well into a reel. The headline on this is, once something is established, it's very difficult for it to remain as scrappy and creative as it needs to be to disrupt from within. And a lot of times, once things are established in that way, the only way they know how to be quote unquote inventive is to copy someone else who's actually being inventive. You see it all the time. You see, like, you'll start to see a cool tech product, on the market, and it's developing and it's adapting. Maybe it's in beta. And all of a sudden, wouldn't you know it, Apple has some very similar adjacent version of that same thing that they are now offering, because it's copying. They just copy somebody else. Instagram did it with Vine. It's like, oh, this Vine thing is happening. Well, now we have Reels. And now Vine doesn't exist anymore. Okay? Mark that. Let's keep that. This is going to be so good if we can cut it good. Okay. Stephen A. Smith is Google. For this exact job that I'm doing right now, Stephen A. Smith is Amazon. Stephen A. Smith is Google. Stephen A. Smith is the stodgy, I don't know what stodgy means, but I think I just used it right. The stodgy, stale, stodgy, I used it right?
I mean, if you mean it as stale.
He's stale,
yes,
yeah. He's the stodgy, stale establishment. He gets in front of a camera and talks like a Baptist preacher. He has very extremely compared to most people that look like me who do this job, conservative politics. He said on his show today, while talking bad on Jason Whitlock, said he has Sean Hannity on speed dial. He said they're in each other's speed dial. So Stephen A. Smith is Apple, okay? He is Google. He is the establishment. He sits in the owner's box with Roger Goodell. Got it? But Stephen A. Smith is watching what's happening at his job with Pat McAfee being licensed from the outside, from this world, from the wilderness into ESPN. He's watching what happens with Bobby Altoff getting 7 million followers on Instagram over the course of weeks because of some of her interviews that she's doing. He's watching what's happening outside and he's like, shit. I am not diversified enough as a product. I am in danger of being knocked over because I am not disrupting from within. I'm not innovating from within. But he's no longer innovative. Okay? He is so much the establishment. He is so much that he has to invest in keeping what he already has afloat and keeping these relationships with fucking Sean Hannity and Roger Goodell and all the people that he kind of shouts out in these little random moments on his, like how much love he has for John Skipper and Bob Iger. And it's just like, there's a epidemic going on right now of black people loving to shout out who their rich, wealthy, white guy friends are right now. It's happening across media. It's very strange. I think it's like a weird form of clout chasing. I like that. Keep that in. But anyway, he's been shouting out all of his like powerful friends and how why did he go out of his way to say that he has Sean Hannity on speed dial? That was so strange to me. But anyway, he is looking around and realizing that he is in danger of being knocked over by this tidal wave of digital independent media that is happening. ESPN is in flux right now. ESPN is in danger. We talked about it on the last episode, but Stephen A. Smith's like, yo, I gotta have what Shannon Sharpe has, which is that Shannon Sharpe has multiple legs to his stool, including he has Club Shay Shay, which is his. He owns it. People come on, they say what the fuck they want to. He leads them along into interesting subject matter, and he doesn't have to report back to Disney to tell them whether or not those guests can say what they got to say. Stephen A. saw what we all saw, which was Cat Williams come on to Shannon Sharpe's platform, set everything and everybody on fire, and walk away. And Stephen A. has watched what we all have watched, which is 10, 20, 30, 40, going on 50 million people watch that interview. In less than a week, Stephen A. Smith, this is what the establishment and its lack of creativity looks like. He did not even disguise it in the least bit. He said, let me go on my own show and try to do exactly what Cat Williams did. It is so much copying. It is such brazen copying that in the way that, frankly, Apple, Amazon, Google will do it. Like, it's so brazenly copying somebody else's formula unapologetically that it tells you we don't give a fuck about, it doesn't matter to us that this is unartistic. Like, this is what we do. This is the formula. You do something good, we go take that exact same thing and we run it on our platform, and we don't care. We run it in our system. We don't care as long as we get the clicks. Now, Stephen A. Smith is not getting the clicks. He's Stephen A. Smith. So when I checked this morning, I think the episode had 350,000 views, something like that. It's not going to get 50 million views like Shannon's show. But he goes on his platform and he does what I would actually say is probably a 40-minute out of his hour-long show, a 40-minute attack on Jason Whitlock. Now, Jason Whitlock is slimy. Jason Whitlock is gross. I'm not here to cape for Jason Whitlock, not in the absolute least bit. Like, every time I see Jason Whitlock's face pop up, makes me nauseous. And like anybody, I hold space there one day, like he will stop being like that, but maybe he won't. What I want to point out in copying unartistically is that I watched Stephen A's 40-minute takedown of Jason Whitlock, and it was not good. It was not entertaining. There is an art to the hour-long diss track. Like, there's an art to receipts and names and times and instances and pointing out the nuances around how someone has wronged you. There's an art to the conviction that you saw in Cat Williams as he gave his tirade, as he gave his 3-hour-long sort of expose of the industry and of the people around him who have wronged him. And Stephen A. Smith didn't even take a second to try to match the artistry of that. He literally, as it looks, he just sat down in his chair. He said, hey, this worked for somebody else. Now I am going to do, I don't even know where it came from. I still, as a hyper consumer of sports media and as a hyper follower of these sorts of like tiffs and beefs between sports media entities, I still don't even know what Jason Whitlock did to set it off. Nothing new, I'm assuming. Like, I imagine Stephen A. Smith just went and looked. Beef worked over there, so I'm going to do beef over here. And he tried his best with whatever he could surmise, but it wasn't real. Like, he wasn't boiling and simmering underneath the way that Cat was. Like, he wasn't thoughtful about the approach. He wasn't specific. He wasn't clever. He wasn't interesting. And so it just fell completely flat. And where it landed me was on this. So, I had a conversation with an advisor recently. We were talking about, like, what can I do? We are finding some formula right now that works in terms of growth for this platform, right? Morgan nods her head in agreement.
Yes.
Producer Morgan says, yes, that's true. Morgan, who is now named Morgatron, as named by my sister. She says, yes, we are finding a formula. And what I mean specifically is, like, we're finding both how the show goes. We're also finding how the marketing and the conversation and all dimensions of the talking to audience around the show goes. A big part of that formula is, as I've said before, publishing our reels, which give a snapshot into the conversations that are happening on these episodes. And if I talk about somebody by name, we put the name in there. If we talk about Shaq, we put Shaq on there. We put a photo of Shaq. Shaq responds with a comment and says, I hate stupid people like you. And I feel so tickled. But my advisor, and I want to get this right because he was coming from exactly the right place, because I was asking him, all right, I see how much money I need to put into this thing to get X amount of viewership on these things. And, like, I see how that could scale up. I can only afford X amount of dollars right now to put into it. But if I had 10X of that, would it still scale up the way I want it to? And he said, yes, you could scale that way. But another way you could scale, I'm going to strongly paraphrase what he said, but it is the heart of what he said. He said another way you could scale is beef. You could scale by starting shit with people. I'm paraphrasing, okay? You could scale by starting shit with people who feel inclined to respond to you publicly. And I was in the gym when he said it to me, and I felt myself, I felt what inside me, like, curl up into, like, a little, like, crunched piece of paper. What I honestly felt myself do was sort of like emotional protection. Like, I am not built for that. Like, I am not built to, conflict like that is so distracting to me. Beef is so distracting to me. Like, negativity, honestly, is so distracting to me. And I have way too much shit to do right now than to be, like, stirring up online beefs with people. However, I'm not going to. I couldn't even, like, take it. I couldn't even find it within myself to say anything punchy back to Shaq when he said he hated me. All I wanted to do was be like, hi, Mr. Shaq, I love you. Yes, Morgan?
The alternative to this is you hiring a
beefer?
Yeah, like some college kid to just fucking troll people online.
I mean, we have a natural beef consultant, which is Quincy.
Right, yeah.
So we could certainly set that up. Another thing I thought about doing was, like, creating some sort of AI agent that just acts as, like, my beef mercenary. But no, the truth is, I don't have it in me to do it this way. Like, this Stephen A thing that he just tried. Like Cat Williams, I like that because that was real. Like it felt like someone who had spent 30 years getting shit on by people who are the establishment, by people who have all the right vouchers and all the right cosigns and get all the sponsoring and marketing deals, and who he's seen steal from other people. And since that interview came out, there have been so many other creative people be like, no, really, like, Cat is that nigga. Like, Cat gave me $1,200 when I was broke. Cat put me on this show. Cat did this thing. Cat did this thing for me. And I love to see people co-signing this superstar person. But the Stephen A. Smith thing is the opposite of that. That is Amazon punching down on some little startup for, like, the appearance of beef. I don't have that in me. One, because I don't want to be, like, in public feuds and beefs and stuff, like, that. It just sounds like anxiety in a way that I don't have space for. Guys, I like to, like, kick it. I like to, like, talk about ideas and have fun and tell jokes and, like, make art projects and, like, I'm a writer. Like, I was talking to my sister about this as well. I was asking my sister about role models, and this is where I'm going, is role models. But I was asking my sister about role models. We were talking about role models. She was actually asking me. My sister has 3 sons, and we were talking about, like, who were my role models growing up. And I asked her who hers were, and she said, when she really boiled it down, she was like the writer of The Babysitter's Club, the author of The Babysitter's Club. And we said, like I said, we said Babysitter's Club's in the bathroom. Babysitter's Club books in the bathroom, by the toilet. And all over the house. That's where they were. But she said at that time, the writer was anonymous. The writer was someone who you read their work, but you had a detachment between the work and the person. And now the most famous writers, like Roxane Gay, if I say her name, if you've ever read anything by Roxane Gay, you know what she looks like. Like, you do. If you know what Stephen King looks like. You know what Ta-Nehisi Coates looks like. You know what I look like. I mean, like, I have a camera that I asked for sitting in front of my face because I know this is part of the job. If I want to get my product to you, I gotta do the rest of this stuff. Now, in that, like, through all that, it is easy to get lost in all of these other layers of what it takes to get publicity and marketing around your work and forget that, like, at some point, I'm still going to have to go sit in front of a computer by myself and feel settled enough and at peace enough to, like, do the thing that I actually do, which is write. I can't be locking horn. And that's why I say Stephen A. Smith is he's not a journalist anymore. Like, he's not a writer anymore. Like, he lost it. It's gone. He is Amazon. So, as I had this conversation about role models, and I reached out to Morgan and I was like, Morgan, do you have any role models? And she said that question fucked her up a little bit because I was talking to my sister about it. She didn't have any role models that came to mind. I'm looking out in the world and realizing I don't have any role models anymore. I would have said Donald Glover like 5 years ago, even less than that. And, like, I certainly don't look at Donald Glover as a role model anymore. So I was thinking back, like, Stephen A. Smith is not a role model. Shannon Sharp, not a role model. Like, I want some of the things they have. I strongly don't want to be the person that they are. Like, I had written on this docket, which we won't get to, something like, what is the age cutoff between when it's interesting to hear, I'm just going to be specific, to hear a man talk about his dating and sex life, and, like, when it is gross? Because Shannon Sharp, Stephen A. Smith, Deion Sanders, Bomani Jones, I don't like you guys insinuating that you have sex ever. I think it is weird, and you guys lean into it. You lean into it in a way that is fucking gross to me. Like, and I have to imagine I know it's gross to other people because they tell me as such.
It is.
It's gross. I'm like, who is this? Jonathan Cooper texted me, like, who is this for? Like, who do they think is the audience that wants to hear those unks talk about their sex lives? What do you guys think is the cutoff on that?
Oh, man. I feel like even for myself, like, the cutoff, sorry to say, I feel like the cutoff is like 35.
It's 35?
Yeah.
Morgan?
I mean, I feel like it depends on, like, if there's any nuance to it, like if you're like really trying to like unpack something or like figure something out about yourself. But if you're just kind of like
Flaunting.
trying to brag or like a flaunt, like I don't need that ever. Like
it's
at any
very
age.
awkward.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, he'll like it's gross. It's like, but anyway, back to the point. I need new role models. No, I wouldn't call those role models. Like, Morgan, do you have any role models?
So, okay, this is why this question really fucked with me. Because
Preamble.
I don't think I've thought about it for a while. Like, I think I had people that I wanted to emulate, or whose careers that I really, like, admired.
Mhm.
There are parts of people that I like, for example, the Sunny producer that has like been there from like day one for me. He's a huge loyalty guy. Like, has worked with the same people, has like gone back, like that is something that I really admire, and that is something that like I want to like take with me. But it's like nobody's perfect, and you also don't know all the parts of people, so I don't know. I feel like I had basic ones growing up, like Shonda Rhimes specifically was a really big one.
It's not basic.
I mean, I feel like everyone says Shonda Rhimes. But going off what your sister said, I'll say the Sisters Grimm author.
Okay.
His name's Michael Buckley. If he's problematic, I don't know. I don't know anything about him, but
Okay.
that was like the first book that I was like really into, so I guess that was something I wanted forever. But yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of, and okay, do you want your flowers right now?
I'll take them.
Okay.
I'm your role model?
No, I just said I don't have any, but like I will say that like your specifically that I didn't realize the effect it had until you met one of my friends. I won't say which one, but before I introduced her to you, I was like, I need to have a conversation because I can't introduce her to Chad knowing there's this thing hanging over my head that like I haven't confronted her about, because you're really big on like just be honest, say the thing or whatever. So I did, because I was like, I just can't introduce her to Chad, and it went great and whatever. But I didn't realize that was something that would affect me so much. And then I guess like the hard work aspect is my parents, because I feel like that's important to see growing up. But yeah, it's like parts of people, but not any one person, I guess.
Yeah, and I think so. Something I was saying to my sister was, I felt like, especially as a little boy growing up in the 90s, I was very much like handed my role models in the crib. Like, my role models were Michael Jordan, number one. Like, that was the role model to have for, I think, a lot of kids. But like, if you're like a little black boy, it was almost a hat on a hat on a hat. It was just like, here you go, Michael Jordan. Like, this is what you want to try to live up to. This is what a man is. This is what success is. Success is, you know, commercials and $1 million smile and dunking on people and having people follow you around with a camera and fans and adoration. I guess another one that was honestly sort of handed to me, like I was 13 years old when The Blueprint came out. And so Jay-Z is another one that, even as much as I see how much I don't want to be like Jay-Z and don't find Jay-Z to be currently appealing, it is hard for me to divorce my 13, 14 through 25-year-old attachment to the idea of like a rapper, a billionaire, you know, like the coolest guy. Like, and I was I still love Lil Wayne. I don't feel anything I feel about Jay-Z about Lil Wayne, but like, Jay-Z was basketball Michael Jordan, and it just felt like it was like, here you guys go, like, you know, be like this guy. So what is poignant left to say on this? Maybe nothing, so I'm just going to go away from it.
Oh,
okay.
Can I say something that Jeffrey just commented in the comments?
Yes.
He said, As a kid, I think our role models are who we want to be or the lives we want to have. But as you age, your role models are the people that pour into you and whose words / ideals you keep.
I agree with that. On there, like, I will probably never. I don't know what's gonna happen, but at this point in time, I will continue to reflect and process on, for probably forever, the way that Spike Lee did a lot for me in a short amount of time. And how much he didn't make me pay for it. Like how much he never tried to I guess not yet. Like never tried to pull out a receipt on the favors. It just all felt like free. It just all felt like generosity. And I mean, there was obviously self-interest in some of it, which is like, maybe I can sell a show with this guy. Maybe I can, get another check out of this dude. But like as a partner, that's something I will hold on to for a long time. I'm having a hard time with others. Like, just on some real shit, most of the time when I've gotten close enough to work with somebody who I admired, when I really got in there, what I saw mostly was like, this person is normal. Like,
Yeah.
they hit a lick and they found something that works for them and they just did that thing over and over and over again. And there is something to be said for that. That is admirable. And I guess I'm doing something similar. But I can't say it hasn't like blown me away in the way that I'm just like, I want to be like that. I want to do that. All right. I got to move on. Let's talk about sports. Let's play a little music and then we'll talk about sports. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Celtics. We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs, which start Saturday. All right.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
All right, I just tried to call Quincy to ask him about NFL quarterbacks who are playing this weekend, but he didn't pick up. And Morgan tells me she thinks he's in a meeting because Morgan works with both of us. All right, let's do sports, man. There's some sports stuff happening. So we're going to go through these. We're going to bang them out quickly, one by one. Nick Saban, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, all... I don't know what to call it. I don't know if we call it retired. I don't know if we call it left their jobs. I don't know if we call it they were fired. But in 24 hours, 3 coaches across the highest, 2 in the NFL, 1 the head coach of what is the closest thing to an NFL team in college, all left their job posts. They are all, I believe, Bill and Pete Carroll are both in their 70s. I know that to be so. Pete Carroll was actually the oldest coach in the NFL. I think Bill Belichick was second. Nick Saban, he's got to be around. Let me just guess since I'm good at this. I'm gonna guess that he's 70 on the dot. Can you look up how old is Nick Saban?
I think they're all in their 70s.
I would assume so.
72.
Oh shit. Okay.
You're losing your touch.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So, what do I think about this? I unfortunately, I mean, I guess this is what you come to this show for. Like, I have 0% in the way of like, thank you for your service and greatness and you're so inspiring. Like, I just, I don't feel that at all. I feel what I felt first was I actually did kind of like Pete Carroll. I thought there was something joyful about his brand of coaching. He seemed like he was having a good time doing his job. He felt youthful for his age in a way that I admired and wanted to. I want to feel like that when I'm 72 doing whatever I'm doing, or 75 or however old he is. I also want to say their ages and their tenures. Like it said, Bill Belichick was the coach of the Patriots, I believe, for 24 years, which is more than, it's well over half of my life, right? It's like 2/3 of my life, basically. Almost that much. Or almost, it's more than that. Anyway. This is not my first thought. This is my second thought. I'll come back to my first thought. My second thought when I saw that all was like this compounding interest of staying at something that matters to you for a long time and that you're good at, honestly, because like I said, I got friends that have been trying to be musicians for years and they ain't got no better and it's not happening. But like, I got friends who've been trying to do a lot of things for years. And like, if you don't have the raw talent or ability to access, you're not gonna create it. Like I do think some things are gifts. Some things are like how you are wired and natured. But if you have the raw materials and you stay at it for, Bill Belichick's probably been coaching since his 20s. Not probably. It is so. He's been doing it for 50 years now. I love to see the compounding interest of that because it tells me, I just saw Eric Spoelstra get the biggest guaranteed money contract for an NBA coach in NBA history. He started off in the film room in his 20s for the Miami Heat. When he got his job as the head coach of the Miami Heat in his 30s, when LeBron and D-Wade and Chris Bosh were there, he was questioned and sort of undermined as the coach of the Miami Heat. He's now in his 50s. His current contract will end when he is 62. Again, I'm looking at, I used to hate looking at shit like this because I used to be like, what am I going to fucking want to do for decades at a time? Now I have a feeling of like, ooh. And I'm not even saying it's this specific discipline, but it's this sandbox of things that I'm playing in right now that I'm like, I can stay at this long enough to watch other people fall off. I can stay at this long enough to get real good, get the relationships, get the resources, get the discipline, get the skill set that I need so that when I'm 50, when I'm 45, when I'm 70, God willing, like that I can be great. Like I can be really great. And that part I enjoy seeing. I love seeing, I'm now really starting to appreciate compounding interest on these things because I'm also seeing it in this operation, but I'm not going to go down that path. So that was my second thought. My first thought was this. Get these old niggas out of here and replace them with more D'Amico Ryanses. Okay, D'Amico Ryans is the 39-year-old black coach of the Houston Texans. Used to play for the Texans, used to play for the Eagles. He's an all-pro outside linebacker. He has a rookie black quarterback named CJ Stroud. They're going to the playoffs together on Saturday. CJ works with Quincy. Quincy won't peacock about being CJ's trainer. I don't know why, but he won't do it, but I'll do it for him. Like, more of that. More, please don't just try to go reach in the box and start this long cycle of failing until you're good that we just did with Belichick and Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. Belichick got traded as a coach before he was great for the Patriots. And you know when he got great? When Tom Brady got great. You know when he was ass? When Tom Brady was gone. That could be a fun reel also. Like, if you give certain people if you give people who are maniacal about work ethic enough chances to try to be good with some minimum level of raw materials, they can be good. They can even be great if you get enough bites at the apple, if you get enough shots at it. Like, we have seen directors become better over time with enough shots at spending other people's money at getting good at it. It's, you want to, like, the dream for all talented people is to be able to learn on the job, to be able to learn how to be a screenwriter while writing for a TV show. That was my experience. Learn how to be an author while writing a book. You know, that's what you want. I was so happy to see these people get the fuck, because God willing, maybe one black person, maybe one young person of color will get a shot at one of those jobs, one of those prestigious jobs, Alabama, the Seahawks, the Patriots, and they will get to do what Eric Spoelstra has done, which is learn on the job long enough, stay with it long enough to the point where you are thought of in that conversation. I would love to see that happen. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think that Mike Vrabel will probably get the Patriots job. I have no idea who's going to get the Alabama job because I don't know enough about college football to really have a take on that. Who's going to get the Seahawks job? Ew. I think the Seahawks job is probably going to go to the Lions offensive coordinator. I think his name is Gus Johnson or Ben Johnson, one of those things. And it's just like, you get like 1 millisecond of like joy to watch the old guard kick rocks. And then following that moment, you're like, oh, fuck, they're going to try to anoint another one of these Kyle Shanahan's as the guy to replace those guys. But please let it just not be that. I like to hold on to hope that it will just not be that. So thank you for your service, guys. Get out of here. All right. Is that mean, Morgan?
No.
Okay, good. You're giggling.
You said thank you.
I did say thank you.
Polite.
Morgan also just thinks that you can just laugh in... Morgan thinks you can laugh at any moment.
I don't know why that bothers you.
No, I like that you... But when you are asked what's funny, like, don't you think that's a reasonable ask for someone to be like, what are you laughing at? When you're just laughing at anything.
I don't know. Sometimes you answer the phone funny.
Okay. With that said, let's talk... Nope, I got more basketball. Then we're going to do Gen Z news with Morgan because Morgan gave me an excellent Gen Z news update a couple days ago. Maybe that was Tuesday. Do you remember what the update you gave me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do you want me to share it now?
Not yet. Soon. Actually, there's a couple funny Gen Z things you've done in the last 48 hours. Shams Charania, who is, as I will remind you, represented by Clutch Sports, which is the sports agency that also represents LeBron James, Draymond Green, DeJounte Murray, Zach LaVine, Miles Bridges, Ben Simmons. Rich Paul Sports Agency represents Shams Charania. Shams Charania is a journalist. He reports that there's a Netflix doc on the NBA coming out like Quarterback docuseries. Quarterback was the docuseries that Netflix released season 1 of, produced by the Mannings, or produced by Peyton Manning's production company. It featured Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota. I forgot who else. Some other very boring quarterbacks. But it was entertaining because I like access to seeing what pro athlete lives are like. I like to see when you have a job that is so demanding in a way that your life has to be scheduled with such a discipline, for you to be up at 7, like for you to be at your peak performance level at 7:30 p.m. at night or 4 o'clock p.m. on Sundays or whatever it is as a pro athlete. I'm very interested in looking at what a life of like that sort of discipline looks like on the outside. I'm very interested in how these people are able to, man, I'm gonna be real. Every time I see, when I see TV, let me fucking finish the headline. So in this NBA show, they're going to feature LeBron James, who you guys know I love, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Anthony Edwards, and Domantas Sabonis. For those who do not follow the NBA closely, LeBron James is LeBron James. You know that guy. Jason Tatum is the young star of the Boston Celtics, who I hold would be a much bigger star if he had a little more like charisma in his voice and a different look on his face sometimes, and like maybe a different haircut. He's phenomenal, by the way. Last night he's averaging, I want to say 34. Damn, I just had it. It was 34, 6 and 6 on 55, 89 shooting, something like that over the last 5 games. I watched the Celtics beat the Celtics were down 9 against the Timberwolves last night. This is probably the best game that I've watched this year. So the Celtics without Kristaps Porzingis against the T-Wolves without Rudy Gobert, which means both teams without their interior rim protectors. And both teams have phenomenal wings. Anthony Edwards on the Timberwolves and then Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on the Celtics. So it was like those guys knowing that there's nobody at the rim to protect the rim created like a spectacle of like wing dribble moves, just all kinds of crazy crossovers, spin moves, reverses, like Euro steps, counters, like just it went to the wire. Both teams played great. The Celtics are undefeated at home, so they were trying to protect that record. The T-Wolves are the number 1 seed in the West, so they were trying to make a statement. Anthony Edwards 100% is fitting the bill as sort of the next superstar, the next American-born superstar up in the NBA. Every time he gets the ball, he is square to the rim, and it looks like, I think of like a python or like a cobra that's facing you, like dead on, and it feels like at any moment it could strike you, so you just have to like back away from it. That's what Anthony Edwards looks like when he's dribbling. He's always squaring. He's got big ass shoulders, so he's like a football player, but he's like always squaring his body back up to the rim so he can do something. I wish Jason Tatum would do that more, honestly. Jason Tatum likes to play with his food a little bit sometimes. But Celtics were down 9. Looked like the Timberwolves were going to give them their first home loss. There were 3 minutes left. And I don't know if y'all have ever played Madden. Thank you, Morgan. Please remove that sniffle. But when you play Madden and you play against the computer on all Madden, the computer just starts making weird shit happen like you miss an easy field goal, it gets blocked. Somebody will jump out of nowhere and intercept your pass. The computer settings will just find a way to make you lose when it's on all Madden. And the Celtics went into all Madden mode against the Timberwolves in those last 3 minutes. It was like, T-Wolves, you are not allowed to make a shot. You're not allowed to get a rebound. You are not allowed to dribble toward the basket. Every shot that the Celtics take will go in or they will get an offensive rebound. It was just awesome. And that's why the Celtics are going to win the championship. But Jimmy Butler's also in this show. We're going to find out if Jimmy Butler is actually interesting or if it's like he's right on the line sometimes. Like he is clever. He can be fun. But he sometimes has the look on his face of someone who thinks he is more clever than he is. And I like to see what's really up with people like that. Anthony Edwards, who I spoke on. Domantas Sabonis, that is an unusual pick for this show. Like he's a Domantas Sabonis, I want to say is Lithuanian, but don't hold me to that. Son of Arvydas Sabonis, former Portland Trailblazers star. Domantas Sabonis is also going crazy in the last few games. He looks like he could be all NBA for real, but he's probably just going to be an all-star. Okay, I'm going to watch that show. What was I going to say before I finished reading the headline, though? Oh. It doesn't look fun to be married to a professional athlete. Morgan nods along.
It's not where I thought you were going to go, but yeah.
It looks pretty terrible. In these shows, Now, mind you, these shows are puff pieces. Like, these shows are PR. And if Sean Sharamia is reporting this and LeBron James is in it, you can bet that LeBron James's production company is producing this show. And that is how I know it will not be as good as you guys think it's going to be, but that's fine. I'll still watch. It'll probably be the best thing LeBron produces. But these shows are meant to be PR for these athletes and the leagues that they're in. Like, if one of these guys is in a scandal, they will like step over it so quickly and so lightly so that it doesn't actually take up any space on the show. The point of the show is to make these people look good. And yet and still, like, they depict their families as these very, like, sort of like wholesome units of American dreaminess. And that includes, like, the wife in the house with nice clothes on and, you know, hair is laid, or whatever white women call it for their hair when it's laid. And, like, the wife always has a baby in her hand, or she has a child that is, like, so excited to see their dad because they never see their dad. And you're laughing because this is so. Yes. Like, it's like the wife is presented in these shows about athletes as wife. Like, they're pretty much nameless. They are accoutrement. They are like, in the Netflix show, it's like, oh, so funny that Kirk Cousins' wife picked his outfit for him. Like, that is a job for service. Like, that is a job for staff if you can't pick your own clothes. Sorry, I'm Chad, check your fucking tone. Talking about people's wives. But I'm not, though. I'm really talking about these shows. In the Dolphins show, they make all this big song and dance spectacle around Tyreek Hill, like, settling down and getting engaged. And here's his wife, and don't know her name, nameless. And then the headline that follows, like, 3 weeks later is Tyreek Hill has 3 babies on the way at the same time. Okay? Pay attention to the women in these shows. Like, in the moments and the windows that they offer us to see what these people's lives are like. I'm gonna go a little more balanced here. Like, what I actually just see is, I just feel like I'm looking at people. I'm looking at a look on the face, and I'm like, this person had bigger dreams than this. This person is a part of someone else's story. Like, do they have a story? Like, do they have interests? Do they have anything else? I'm not doing a great job of explaining it, but it is clunky and it is clumsy and it is a little bit uncomfortable if you pay any attention to the partners of the athletes in these shows. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is when you were talking about the, whenever they have any footage of the family, I literally have the same picture of my head of, like, you see the athletes sitting in their living room on the couch. There's a window over here, and the sun is shining in on the right, and the kid comes running around from the other side of the sofa.
I literally am picturing this as well.
And he's so excited to see his kid who he hasn't seen in 6 months because he's been on the road the entire time. And it's literally the same thing in every single one of these pieces. And yes, even the craziest part is the one I actually have pictured in my mind is with Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen, who has a whole ass career of her own. Yes. And I still can only think of her when the moments of their family together right. in this one moment.
Yes.
In this one, I don't even remember what it was. Like, I don't think it was Hard Knocks, but it was something. It was like
one. It was Tom Brady's self-produced.
You remember?
It was what was it? It was Time versus Tom.
Tom, yeah, or something like that. And it just looked so stilted and something out of a Hallmark movie. Like, it was just. Like, you learned nothing about these people, and I'm like, if you can take this superstar model who has all this stuff going on
and reduce her down to furniture, yes,
but I'm also interested in. Charlotte just mentioned Savannah in the comments as well, but like, yep. I don't know. I feel like people know Savannah James. Like, yes, obviously with LeBron, but like, I'll be interested to see if she's a side role or if she kind of gets to be in her own lane a little more.
I think so. if we go even a little bit,
Also, oh wait, really quick. This kind of leads into Gen Z, but on TikTok, there's a whole world of wags who are like getting ready to go to the basketball game and like whatever. And I feel like if you like dressing up and you like going to nice dinners, it might be a blast.
I agree. I think there are people. There are definitely women who love it.
So, okay, I have insight here. I have known some of the aforementioned parties, and they have dreams. Like, they have stuff that they want out of life, and as I see it, these men, as I see it, I ain't one of them, but like, these guys are vehicles that can be utilized to potentially grab at those dreams. What a cost to pay, like, to be married to someone that some people want this. So like you said, to be married to somebody that you don't see like 200 nights out of the year, to have children at home without another parent in a way that it's not like you're single. Like, it's not like you're like a single parent. You are a married parent, but you are the child care. Gotta be careful how you talk about people's wives, man. You gotta be careful. And I say that exactly as I mean it, which is to say, I don't want to be careful how I talk about people, but men get very, very, very ego bruised within themselves, having nothing to do with their partner when you talk about their partner who they think they own. So I'm going to tread lightly because I am not Cat Williams. But do you guys remember something that Savannah James has said?
What?
Do you guys remember a sentence
not.
Savannah James has said?
Absolutely not.
No.
Me neither. Don't you think that's ironic, considering how many times?
I don't remember a sentence LeBron has said, in my defense.
Oh, come on.
Okay, let me ask that differently. Do you think you know Savannah James's point of view?
No.
Do you think you know LeBron's?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, honestly. I mean, probably not, because it's
it's probably been through a filter.
Washed through a bazillion layers. Yeah. Okay, let me just make the point instead of asking rhetorical questions. The point is, like, we see Savannah James. We see her. We are shown her as a part. We are being sold a power family. Like, we are being sold a power couple. Even like, we are being sold a family. You guys are baiting me to talk about LeBron, and I'm not gonna do it. You baited me, Morgan.
I did not.
You sort of did. The point is just this, man. Let's just see what women look like in these shows. The show didn't come out yet, and like I said, LeBron James is likely producing. I bet that's already in the press release. I didn't go back and dig for it, but like, if the reporter who works for LeBron is reporting it, if LeBron is in it, you better. And this part I admire about LeBron. Like, you better believe he is getting a check for executive producing this shit as well. Like, or else why would I even fuck around? Is he producing it?
Who?
LeBron. They just make now I'm just being hypercritical. I'm like, damn, they do really just make the relationship between athlete and family look so. You know what it is when the guy comes into that living room? It feels like they don't know each other. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, like it felt. I mean, going back to the Tom Brady thing. I mean, Tom Brady didn't even look like he knew anybody in that room. Like, it was really bizarre to see like how. I mean, if you ever see him in the locker room, he looks like he's at home. He's at home. He's dapping everybody up.
He's my guy.
He's hugging everybody up. He looks so like out of his element and uncomfortable in his own living room with that sunshine shining in. Like, it was just.
It's like I'm watching Boardwalk Empire right now, and like there's all these World War I, I think, vets home in the show. Yeah, and they're like they're having to like get to know their families and their wives again and stuff. And it's like that's what it looks like when these quarterbacks, NBA players, walk into a room with their family. Yes.
Do you want me to ruin this for you so bad?
He's not producing it?
No. Spring Hill's producing it.
Yeah, of course.
But so is someone else.
Savannah?
President Barack Obama's higher
No.
ground.
Oh my god. So now I can't watch.
I was going to say, you ain't going to watch it now.
Now I'm like, what? I'm like, dog, just make it a commercial. Just make an advertisement. Like, why do we need a whole docuseries? Like,
And also Peyton Manning's Omaha production.
because they generate. I mean, guys, come on,
How many
y'all.
production? How many times are you gonna divide up the pie in that? Like that's like how many
Netflix is probably paying a fortune for it. They must be. That is a lot of ways to split the pie.
That's a lot of production.
That was the,
guys, come
when
on,
as soon as I
man.
saw that, I'm sorry. That's hilarious.
That's too funny.
Okay, so what we're gonna do when this does it have a release date?
This says
No. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Okay, so
yeah, the name and release date are not yet.
all right, when it comes out, we are going to do an anarchy analysis of every episode of this show, the way that gender is presented and wives as accoutrement, all the ways that it is not interesting because of the people involved producing it, all the ways that it's a commercial. Like, and listen, I honestly think I'm pretty good at this. If it comes out and it's not how I'm saying it's going to be, I will admit that it's good and I'll be like, this is pretty fire. But
You'll have to post a reel very specific to My Name is Chad Sanders.
I will do that. But I promise y'all, like, it is going, like you said, it will be washed through 20 dozen filters and it's just gonna be like, what? Like, bleh. So, all right, great, whatever, fuck it. All right, last thing here, Gen Z news. Gen Z news is a funny segment. Okay, we're gonna do a few things really quickly here in Gen Z news. Warner Brothers, the studio that owns the rights to The Sopranos, is releasing every episode of a 25-second TikTok of each episode of The Sopranos, which, by the way, I don't know if I already made this joke, but a 25-second TikTok for an episode is a trailer. Like, that's what that is a trailer. I go back and forth in this. I will consume any Sopranos content that you offer me for the most part, but also I hope this actually inspires people to go watch the show, because so much of what's great about the show is it's the in-between stuff. It's the stuff, but like it's getting to know the characters through their weird idiosyncrasies. It's just getting to know them as weirdos, and so much of the weirdo shit happens like in between the plot lines. So that's something. But I have hiccups now. I'm sorry. Just a reminder. I can't believe the Obamas are producing that. I'm sorry to go backward, but like that's so boring. Are you kidding me? Like what? I mean, what do they have to offer to the project?
Money, maybe.
They don't need that. Netflix has the money. Whatever. Morgan, don't defend them.
I have a theory.
Yes.
Because I was thinking, like, why do they need so many production people behind this? But then I thought about it. I'm like, there's like 4 names behind this, right?
Promotion?
Well, if you think about it, it's just like LeBron James is probably a producer on it because he's going to probably be in charge of filming all of his stuff. And they probably have like a production team for each one of those. So maybe there's somebody that's like closely related to Obama that's somehow connected to at least one of those players. Because I'm thinking like you have Omaha maybe for one person. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
I think Omaha owns the franchise because they started with quarterback. I knew, like, of course LeBron is not doing it if he's not producing. I'm just like, why do we need what? It doesn't make sense.
He can do that by himself.
He definitely could, but I do think the franchise now has value because the quarterback I think it was a hit. Okay, Gen Z news. So Morgan sends me a text. This is really just 2 funny things Morgan has done, which we're gonna call Gen Z news because Morgan is.
I'm bummed because this has come and gone so quickly, but let's just bring it up.
Well, what you sent me was. Hold on, man. Where is it? Oh, we have too many texts.
Do you want me to find it?
No, you said. You said 7:29 a.m. Oh, that was yesterday? Oh my god.
Oh, was it yesterday?
That was literally yesterday.
No, was it?
7:29 a.m. yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Wow, time
flies.
Great, but also doesn't, because how was that yesterday? Okay. Morgan texted me at 7:29 yesterday. She says, I have Gen Z news. 7:30 in the morning, she says, from the Golden Globes, people talking a video of Selena and Taylor Swift whispering that they were talking about how Kylie told Timothée Chalamet, first of all, this is all so Gen Z, he couldn't take a picture of Selena. But I just came across this TikTok from this girl who apparently runs the red carpet, and she was the one who told Selena she couldn't take a picture with Timothée Chalamet. This is before I'm awake, by the way. All of this is happening while I'm unconscious. That's at 7:30 a.m. 7:35 a.m. JK, it's not real. Ugh, I hate the internet. So that's item number 1. Thank you, Morgan. Item number 2 is I was in here. You can please bleep out the name of this, but I was in here drinking out of a Starbucks cup that is just a cup that it's a plastic cup that I reuse to put my coffee in. I come in here after the show's over, and Morgan says to me when the show's over, she says, look at her face right now. She says, you can't be drinking out of that Starbucks cup. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I know. I heard something. And I was like, what's the deal with that thing again? And she goes, well, I'm not exactly sure. Which is just Gen Z in an absolute nutshell is like, don't do this bad thing. Well, wait, why is it bad? I don't exactly know. Defend yourself, Morgan.
I can't really defend myself with the Starbucks thing. I should have Googled that by now.
But it's fine.
I still haven't.
But I have also heard I'm not supposed to drink. I know it has something to do with...
Starbucks is just always bad.
Okay.
They're always behind something problematic.
Fair. Do you eat Chick-fil-A?
I haven't recently, no. But I'm aware.
I'm just asking. Okay. What else do we have to talk about? Basically nothing. I think we did it. All right, we did it. Thanks, guys. Sorry we started late today. We'll be back at our normal time on Tuesday, 12 o'clock, right here. Nothing But Anarchy, live on YouTube Live, wherever you get podcasts for your re-listen. Shanklin Hall.
February 8th.
February 8th, Thursday, Washington, D.C., 7 o'clock p.m., doors open. You can go buy your tickets online. We have limited capacity, so please go buy your tickets. Live audience, if you're watching right now, you can buy your tickets now. They're a little bit discounted from what they will be when we put them up to the broader audience. We wanted everybody who really is like down with the show on the email list here in the live audience. Like we wanted y'all to have first dibs. I guess I can't technically guarantee it, but I feel like it is 99% likely that we will fill up capacity because it's not a huge venue. Mm-hmm. So I want the people who are really down with us to be in those seats. So go get your tickets for a few bucks off now at the link in my bio right now.
Yes.
Okay, goodbye. Get a life. Goodbye. That's what my sister says when she hangs up on me. Get a life. Goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Love you. Goodbye. Are we off?